In this video, I'm going to give you 5 ways that ChatGPT can act as your personal assistant, and I'll give you the exact prompts to get the absolute most out of it. Let's dive into the first use case, which is scheduling and prioritization. I've pre-written a prompt for exactly this, so let's dive into that and I'll show you how it works. So I basically start with my appointments. Is my calendar open or not? Do I need to let ChatGPT know that I have appointments, yes or no? In this case, I'm going to say no. Then I write what I want to get done, basically my to-do list. Then I ask, how do you suggest I schedule and prioritize my day? Give me exact time blocks per task and your reasoning why I should do them in that specific length of time for the task and time you've allocated to it. Quite a mouthful. Okay, so I fast forwarded a little bit until it was finished. Interestingly enough, it assumed I work 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So that might be a good prompt or tweak to the prompt to add your working times. And then interestingly enough, it actually tells me that 4 to 5 p.m. is the initial video editing. So basically it's telling me for the time that I have allotted and the tasks that I have, this is not enough time. So it says like this 1 hour block might not be enough to complete the editing process, but it's a good start. Let's move on to the next one, which is email. So imagine I see on Slack that my boss just got a baby. This might be a prompt that I would write. So I said, write email, congratulate boss with new baby, make it sound friendly and playful, yet professional. So just checking ChatGPT's reply, I actually hate it. It made some sort of massive story with very, very corny references, tiptoeing with love into your hearts and stay there forever. So I'm going to change this prompt. It should be short and to the point. Just reviewing the new message, it's better. It's still not great, but I think it would kind of suffice to do this. Let's try another example, which is giving feedback. And this is many times something I've struggled with in the past. If I had a coworker that I needed to give some feedback or I was annoyed with, I have this kind of emotional reaction and thoughts in my head. And obviously this is usually not the best way to structure feedback. Now you can ask ChatGPT to do exactly the same for you in one single prompt. So let me show you how. So this is the prompt. Write Slack message, I want to give feedback to a coworker. They interrupted me a lot in the meeting and it was disruptive. Please ensure it follows proper feedback format, is respectful, and my coworker won't take offense. Here we have the reply, and I think it's pretty good. It starts with, I hope you're doing well. I wanted to talk about something from our last meeting. I noticed a few times when I was sharing my thoughts that you had something to add before I was finished. While I appreciate your enthusiasm and insights, nice, it sometimes made it difficult for me to complete my point. So I think like ChatGPT does a really good way of forming it very politically correct and in a kind of soft way. And I would feel perfectly comfortable sending this to a coworker. The next use case I think ChatGPT can replace an assistant is with content creation. Now, if you are not a content creator, don't run away yet, because I've found a prompt that kind of blew my mind and changes the way I think about prompting in general. So even if you're not a content creator, I think just checking out this prompt and how it's structured can help you a lot with other prompts. This is a prompt that Dickie Bush created. He's an online kind of writer, coach dude. And I really like this prompt. So I'm just going to copy it here, but I'll link the tweet below so that you can get it from his kind of original source. Let me break it down for you real quick. First, he tells like what is his role and what does he want ChatGPT's role to be. Then he goes over the objectives. So he has 2 steps to this system. First is creating subtopics and then questions for those subtopics. Next up is rules. So he's very strict on the rules that he wants ChatGPT to follow. Then he gives an example to give even more kind of guidelines on the rules, how to follow them exactly. Then what to avoid, then the next step, which is kind of the questions for the subtopics. Then he gives more rules, and then he gives kind of a reiteration about how ChatGPT should continue, because the system works that you put in the prompt, and then ChatGPT will ask what is the topic. So putting this into action, let me show you how it works. So here it is, it asked me the first question. So I'm just gonna say moving to Barcelona because that's where I live. As you can see, it created these first subtopics and it's asking me for confirmation if I wanna move forward on the proven approach-based questions. So I just say yes, just checking the results now, and it's actually really impressive what it managed to generate. And I think like basically each of these could be a really good article like what are the top 4 cultural norms to be aware of when living in Barcelona? What are the top 3 language learning apps or resources for Spanish? So I think all of these are super relevant. And now you could even take a couple of those and say, write me 10 different headlines for XYZ article. Now, I think this whole prompt is really good to not just think about for content creation, but also just for ideation in general, right? If you're doing a brainstorming with your team, think about how to structure the prompt so that you don't just let ChatGPT do whatever it wants. You think about like, what is a good example? What should it avoid? What should the sequence be? And then I think you can get much better ideas out of ChatGPT if you let it do more of the execution and less of the thinking. Next up is learning a new skill. And I think here a personal assistant could also help. If I had a personal assistant, for example, and I said, hey, I want to learn Spanish or I want to learn Python, could you help me structure information or give me courses or whatever? Like they could help gather the right resources for me so that I could start learning. Similarly, ChatGPT can do the same, but ChatGPT can actually create the course material for me. Let me show you how. And the trick here is that I actually didn't know how to do this, so I just asked ChatGPT. So here we go. So here it just kind of gives me the exact boilerplate for how I should ask ChatGPT to create a mini course for me in Python. So it's really cool. I've seen people use this very successfully. Online paid courses might get a run for their money with this being so accessible and basically ChatGPT also being able to see exactly where I'm failing, where I need to learn more, where it needs to give more information, etc. So another really cool use case, I think, for ChatGPT as a personal assistant. The last use case I want to talk about is research. And I think, again, another thing that personal assistants would usually really assist with is like, hey, I have this topic to research. Can you go ahead and do kind of the legwork for me? Bring together the top kind of things that I should look at, and then I take it from there. So just going back to trusty Notion here to show you how I have this prompt structured. I first tell it the role, so basically they're a research assistant that provides deep, thorough research summaries. Then I tell it the objective for me personally, which is I am researching the ability to do focus work. Change this for whatever you are researching at that time. And then what they should do. Comprehensive analysis in the form of a research report, and then some rules that I want them to list the kind of most relevant questions a beginner would have, but maybe this is an expert or a meteor in this kind of topic. Also, I wanted to give 3 key arguments, and under each key argument, I wanted to list the sources. Additionally, I want all the arguments to be based on sound scientific research published in kind of reputable journals. So that's how the prompt is structured. Here are the results, and it did exactly what I wanted it to. Obviously, there's some similarity with the previous prompt on content, but I really like this kind of research use case because I feel like this is where I get bogged down a lot in trying to go from here to there. And really, if I just need kind of a summary of a certain topic that I'm looking into, this is really perfect. That's all for today. I hope it was useful. I hope you will actually start using ChatGPT as your personal assistant, and I will see you in the next one.